Hi guys, my name is Kitty and this is Motivational March. I teach performers how to make more money, and today we're going to be talking about why it's so important for you guys as performers to be making more money. Okay, this is a topic that I am so passionate about, so please watch this to the end because I feel like this is probably one of the most important things that I teach. The principles that I'm going to talk to you about have literally changed my life over the past 5 years. So please stay to the end and take on board everything that I'm saying about why it's important for you guys to start wanting to have more money. So first of all, I teach performers to make more money from getting more bookings, getting better pay, but also from having other income streams, things like teaching, doing workshops, running events, running shows, passive income streams, whatever, okay? All things related to your talent. I've, over the past 5 years, come to the realisation that it's so important for us to have more money and also multiple income streams so that we can pursue our dream of becoming a performer, all right? It's become increasingly difficult with the cost of living, prices going up, rents going up, literally everything has skyrocketed, food, whatever, and fees or wages or whatever, however you earn money hasn't, okay? So that's why I'm really keen on teaching you guys how to boost your income from multiple different ways. Now, I'm not going to talk about those different ways today. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. But I am going to talk today about why it is super important that we do start wanting to have more money. Not just for the reason of that we want to be able to scrape by and pay our bills. I think we're living in a time at the minute where it's never been more obvious to the general public that having money equals having power. We're living in a time at the minute where rich people with money aren't even getting prosecuted for awful crimes purely for the fact that they have money. And if we continue to keep letting these people have all the money and us saying, oh, well, money doesn't buy happiness, money does buy happiness, money buys a roof over your head, it buys food, it puts the heating on, it means you're not cold, it means you're not stressed, it means you're not anxious, it means that if somebody does something bad to you, you can sue them. It means if somebody sues you for something that you haven't done, you can represent yourself. There's 1,000,001 ways why you need to have money as fuck you money, yeah? It's so important. And if you're not thinking like this, particularly now, when it's probably the most obvious it's ever been in my adult life, that people who've got money get all the opportunities, they get special treatment, they get, it's just gross, isn't it? Like, everybody should get the same, but we all know that that is not how it works. Like, we now live in a time where you've even got to pay for education. When I went to university, you only paid like £1,000 tuition fees, and I didn't pay anything because I was from a low income family. Like, now you have to pay £9,000 a year before you've even got out of uni. Like, that to me is just mad. You've got to pay for dental care in the UK now, which you never had to. You have to have 2 incomes if you're going to have a child because you just can't afford to keep a roof over your head. And then to have that luxury of going to work to pay your bills, you then have to pay thousands of pounds a month for childcare to put your kid in a place where somebody else raises your children. To me, it is just utter madness. And as you can tell, I'm getting really enraged about it because as a society, why are we not more pissed off about this? Why are we not getting more and more angry, and why are we not saying, look, we need to start making more money so that we claim back that power, yeah? So this is why I teach this stuff, this is why it's so important to me. Like, I've not always had such freedom with money. I left home when I was 18, I went to university, I paid for university myself, I did loads of stupid mistakes in that time. I got into loads of debt because it was a time where they'd give you do you remember Topshop and places like that? They'd give you a card that you could, a credit card essentially that you could spend money on even though you had no form of income because you were a student, and I had like loads of them. I didn't really understand how all that worked. So then by the time I started working, I was already in a load of debt. I also went to university for 5 years to train to be a doctor, and then decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I actually wanted to be a dance teacher, so I had to start from scratch building a business with nothing. I'd like walk around with this like crappy boombox that my boyfriend at the time's mum had given me, and I didn't have a car. I had to sell my car to fund this business, and then I made so many mistakes over time and never really had any expendable income. It was only when COVID hit I really started taking it serious that we have to have some kind of backup. In COVID, I had to, obviously all my businesses shut down. I'm a performer, so there's no performing. I teach, so there's no more teaching. Everything that I'd learned over the past 15, 20 years, I couldn't do anymore overnight like that. And I had bills to pay, and I just didn't know how I was going to do it. So I had to get a job as a carer, and I'd never had a real job. I'd never had a PAYE job where people like, where it's a steady income. I just hadn't ever had a job like that. And I would be doing this job and I'd be working 60 hours a week. And in this job as a carer, I'd be working 60 hours a week, but they weren't paying me for 60 hours because they don't count you driving to different people's houses. So I could spend like up to 2 hours a day, like driving in between different houses. I'm not getting paid for that. So that's just nothing. I could also on my breaks be stood in a queue because it's COVID. So do you remember like when you need to go to the pharmacy or you need to go to the doctors or whatever, you'd have to queue up for hours and you'd be like spaced down the road. I'd have to spend hours queuing up to get prescriptions for the people that I was looking after, not paid for that. And one day I was just sat in my car and I just thought, if I was sat in my martini glass for like 45 minutes, I would make more than I'm going to make in this whole week working 60 hours. And at that point I was like, I just never want to be in this position again. I never want to be in a position where I'm working my arse off and I'm working myself into the ground and I'm exhausted and I'm only just making enough money to pay my bills. So from that point I started on building businesses that would bring me income, but also putting my fees up as a performer and putting my class prices up for my classes. I started teaching workshops and I started charging like premium rates for my workshops. Whereas before, I'd been a dance teacher for years and I always just had this mentality of, oh yeah, but I get to do what I love and I'm just doing it for fun, so as long as it pays my bills, that's fine. But what happens if you're just managing to pay your bills every month is that when something goes tits up, like COVID happens, or I got a divorce and I had to move to another town and start from scratch, or I got pregnant and it wasn't expected and I had to go on maternity leave, or I got in an abusive relationship and I had to leave that relationship, all those things, if I'd have been doing that thing where I'm just scraping by and just paying my bills, I would never have been able to get out of any of those situations. There was a time once when I was like in my 30s, I left a partner. We bought a house together and I left this partner and it was one of the most stupid financial decisions I've ever made, but I just left the house. Like I said, I didn't want anything from this house. I just couldn't deal with the stress of it all, and I left everything that was in the house as well. So all the furniture was mine. This is like 15 years of me living on my own at this point, so all the furniture is mine. I took like my clothes and that was it. I didn't take anything else. I just literally left a whole life and whole memories up until the point that I was 30 behind, and I had to live and sleep on the floor of my studio for 2 months because I couldn't afford to rent anywhere else at that point. I didn't have any savings because I felt like everything was like stable. I was in this relationship, we split the bills, and then as soon as that stability was gone, I didn't have any backup plan. I didn't have anything, like I couldn't just go out and rent a flat or anything. I had to like live on my own studio floor. I remember like one of my teachers coming in one night, she'd left something behind and I'm like asleep on one of the crash mats in a sleeping bag, and she was like, are you actually living here? And I had to say, yeah, I am at the minute. Like it was so embarrassing, and that was because I'd not ever taken it seriously, the importance of having some kind of backup plan, some kind of money that I can use to get myself out of situations. So if you're a performer and you're not thinking about this, please can I urge you that like this is so important. Like as well, a couple of years after that, living in my studio for a couple of months, I then got a flat, and then the flat that I was in, the housemate moved out, so I had to pay the full rent. It got me into like loads of debt again. I had to get out something called an IVA, which like basically fucks up your whole credit rating. And it fucks up your whole credit rating for like 7 years. So now I pay like so much more for any kind of credit card or loan. I can't get a mortgage at the minute. Well, I probably could now, but I couldn't like a year ago. The house that I live in is super expensive to rent because the ones that were cheaper I couldn't get, even though they were cheaper, because so many people were all going for the same house. No one was going to choose me because I had a poor credit rating. So I had to pay over the odds for a house so that I would have less competition. I would be more likely to get it. Like you're fucked in every way if you've got no money. And I can't reiterate this enough. Like, to me, it's just so, so important. So I want you to start thinking about the importance of making more money, the stability that it will bring you. I still have times where like I struggle for money or whatever, even though like last year my business as a whole turned over 80k, which for American people that's over $100,000. It's $109,000, but that doesn't mean that's cash that I have in the bank. I spent 50 grand on my staff because I ran a dance school. I had a lot of staff. I also had lots of workshops. I pay my staff really good money as well. I don't believe in like paying them shit rates. So my workshop staff were getting paid like 60 to 75 pounds an hour. Like my performers that I book for events, I pay them the rate that they're worth, if not more. Like that to me is really, really important. So just because that money is coming in to me doesn't mean that's like the expendable money that I have, which like shows in the fact that I don't buy expensive clothes. I've not been on holiday for about 10 years. Like all those things, I could do those things, but I often choose between buying those things or investing that money back into my business. And because I've been self-employed since I was 18, I'm kind of in the habit of where I actually would rather buy a costume or I'd rather buy a prop or something than go out and buy a new pair of trainers or something like that. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't want to do those things though. You should want to go on holiday and you should want to have nice things if that's what you're interested in. Like, there's no right or wrong, but I want you to understand that when I'm talking about money all the time, it's not because I believe you all should be materialistic, because I'm not materialistic in any way. But I do understand that freedom comes at a price. And if you need to walk away from a job or walk away from a shitty situation with a partner or walk away from any kind of thing where you feel trapped, if you don't have a financial backup, then that is really, really difficult to do. Like a lot of the people that are in this group, some of you guys will openly talk to me about situations that you've had to leave and how difficult it was and how you stayed for much longer than you would have stayed in that situation. And if you have a financial backup, it's much easier to leave those situations quicker and get out, okay? So, my point is, money mindset is everything. We want to be earning money. I want you to get over this idea that money is bad. It's not. It's not at all. Money only amplifies who you are as a person. If you're a good person and you have more money, you'll do good things. Last year when I was earning 80k, I was doing good things because I was paying all my staff good rates, yeah? If I don't have that money, I have to kind of exploit my staff and pay them less so that I can cover my bills. That's not what I want to do, yeah? If you're a bad person, money's just going to amplify you being a bad person, okay? It just so happens that the majority of people who we see in the media that are bad people have acquired a lot of money because they've done it in exploitative circumstances, and us as a society haven't really challenged it, because from being children we've been bombarded with watching films where the rich person is the horrible person, the poor person is the good person. Just think back to things like Aladdin. Aladdin is a good guy, when he's poor, but then as soon as he starts lying and pretending he's rich, then he's a baddie, okay? Think about The Devil Wears Prada. The woman in that, Glenn Close, is a bitch because she's rich. Whenever people have money in films, particularly women this is like a massive issue with, they're not a nice person. I don't think anybody could name off the top of their head a film where the rich person is the good guy, yeah? Because we've been taught that, and we've been taught that for a reason. We've been taught that so that we don't want it, we don't question, we don't try to get more, we just be happy with what we're given. We're in a society these days where everything is so, you get what you're given and you should be thankful for it. You should be thankful that you work 60 hours a week and you can't afford to buy a house. You should be thankful that there's a food bank up the road that you can use. Like, what the hell? Like, why are we thankful for any of these things? We should be thankful for having options and choices, and we don't have that these days unless you make more money. So this week is going to be dedicated to me teaching you guys different ways to boost your income. They're not all going to be relevant to all of you, but I want you to think about them and take them on board and understand the reason why I'm teaching you these things is because I want you to be in positions where you can make better choices, whether those choices are investing more into your business. If I got £5,000 tomorrow, I could invest that £5,000 into buying new props or getting new costumes or getting a social media manager who actually knows what they're doing with the social media. Like, that could be an investment in my business. On the other hand though, I could also pay all my bills. I could also buy myself something nice. I could take my daughter somewhere. I could book a holiday. Those things are okay too, yeah? But I just want you, even if you only do it for 1 week only, I want you to get in a money mindset of that money is important. Anybody that says it's not is just blinded, because we live in a capitalist society where even victims of assaults and things like that can't get justice because the people who are doing it have got money. I think if your eyes aren't opened by that fact by now, then they never will be, okay? So tomorrow I'm going to talk about the multiple different kinds of income streams you can have as a performer, all right? No, actually, let's talk about that now. Different income streams you could have as a performer. First off, you could put your rates up, you could put your fees up, okay? That could be number one. Number two, you could get more bookings, okay? That's not always feasible because you've only got a finite amount of hours in the day, and also there might only be bookings at certain days of the week or at certain times or whatever. So sometimes these aren't feasible. The things I'm telling you aren't always going to be a feasible option, okay? For me, working more hours isn't a feasible option because I'm a stay-at-home mum. I'm a single mum, so don't have the option of childcare all the time and things like that. I can't work like a 9 to 5 full-time job. It's just not possible for me, okay? But for other people it might be. It's going to depend on your personal circumstances. So as a performer, they're the two things that I focus on a lot with you guys, and I have done for the past 2 weeks. Putting your fees up and charging adequately and doing more gigs, getting booked more. You also can think about other things. So some of you guys might be really good at creating costumes. So you could be doing something where you make costumes and you sell them to your peers. You could be doing you might be good at cutting music. So you could like cut music for people and sell it to your peers. You might be really good at writing. So you could offer a service where you write people's bios for them and things like that. You might be a person who is really good at admin and tech. You've done a day job where you're an admin or PA person, so you understand how to do all the techie stuff. You could offer a service to people like that. You can think outside the box of things that you can add on to offer. My next one will be teaching. Like for me, at heart, I am a teacher before I'm ever a performer. So for me, I always gravitate towards teaching. I love teaching, whether that be regular weekly classes, that could be in the form of one-off workshops, it could be in the form of online classes. Like I used to run a dance school, and I did for 10 or 15 years, where I was there every day and I was teaching in-person classes. I don't teach in-person classes anymore unless it's a specialist workshop that I'm getting booked for. That's the only time I teach in-person classes. I do, however, run an online classes business, but I only teach one class a week. It gets uploaded to my platform, so I'm not overloading myself with work, but people subscribe to that platform, and that's like a regular income from me. Okay, there's lots of different ways you can do it. Just because you decide to add teaching into your business plan doesn't mean that you have to teach every week. Okay, there's loads of different ways you can do that. All right. Another way might be running events. So I run large scale events like the conference. I run retreats. Our retreat is coming up this weekend actually. I also run like one-off workshop days where people come and take workshops all day, and then the evening we have like an opportunity for them to perform and get footage and things like that. They're my main business models now, and they're my main sources of income now. So even though I might only do them, let's say altogether that's probably 7 days out of the year, they are my main stream of income. They make me the most money out of that chunk of 80k that I earned last year. Yeah, so they would be for me like my top thing that I focus on. I always focus on my events because I know they're going to make me the most money. So events could be those kind of things, but they also could be shows, running your own shows as well, do really well. What else could you do? There's loads of different options that you could have, doing a festival or whatever. Yeah, camping retreat I did 1 year, that went down really well. Spa retreat I did one year, that went down really well. There's loads of options for events that you can think about, and you can create something that's like super unique to you. Like when I did my camping one, there was no one else doing a camping one. And I love camping, so I just put things that I enjoy doing together and made something that I actually want to go to, but I don't want to travel anywhere, so I just put it on myself. You can think like that, and you can think, what could I do? Photo shoots as well. A lot of my instructors on my instructor training do photo shoots, body confidence boosting days, anything you can think of can make you more money. Also, as well as those kind of events, you could do, you could create a passive income. So as you want, I'm going to do a whole session on passive income, because for me, that is the one thing that has created the most financial freedom for me. Creating a passive income. So basically what a passive income is creating like either a digital product or a membership or something like that, where you do the work once or you do minimal work but for maximum results. So I have lots of different versions. My best one that I do is my instructor training. So my instructors pay like 300 quid to come and train me as an instructor, and then they pay me a fee of $24.99 a month for choreography, done for you branding, events and stuff like that, and help with their marketing and stuff like that. For me, that's like such a good business model, because I do like one online training day every other month, so that's 6 in a year. I also do one choreography a month, so that's 1 day of work for that month. And then I do like other like little things where they get access to my memberships and stuff like that, so they get a weekly training and stuff. But essentially for that, I do like maybe like half a day's work a month to run that, and that's like a recurring revenue model where I get paid constantly all the time. Okay, I also have like my online teaching thing that I've just said. That's a bit more work because I do 1 class a week, but I mean, let's face it, if you were doing 1 class a week and you were earning like a regular income, that isn't that bad, is it? Like, I'm never going to moan about doing 1 class a week and not having to do anything else. Yeah, so that's another way of doing it, and like people subscribe to that for a low amount of money, but because there's lots of them, that makes up again a recurring revenue. I also have digital products, so I tell you guys all the time about the courses that I've created. The Passive Income for Performers course, my 6-Figure Showgirl bundle course, They're one-off courses that you can just go and click and buy from any of my adverts or the links in the bio of my Instagram, and they're just like an immediate cash injection to my business. So that's not a recurring revenue model because it's not the same amount of money every month, but that is a passive income. Because once I've made the course, when you go and buy it, that has nothing to do with me. You go onto our online system, you buy it, you log in, you do the course. Yeah, I'm not involved in that process. The only part of the process that I'm involved in is retrieving the money when it comes to me and the original creation of the course. But once I've done it, that's an asset forever now. Yeah, even if I decide that I don't want to sell those anymore, at some point down the line, I might think, oh, I want some extra money today. I'll put that on a sale for one day only or for a weekend only, and that's an immediate cash injection. Okay, so there's loads and loads and loads of different ways performers can make more money. You guys have these skill sets that are unique to you, and you might feel like you're not unique because you move in circles of other people who do the same kind of things as you with the same kind of skills. However, the general public, there's like how many 7 billion people on this planet, maybe more, like the general public who want to take a dance class or who want to become a performer or who want to buy a costume or whatever, they don't move in those circles. So you to them are unique, you're different, and you're always different anyway because you have a vibe about you. You guys actually will stay to the end of this video and pay attention to me. I've stayed not just because of the stuff that I'm talking about, but also because of the vibe you get from me. You will like me as a person, and that's why you've chosen to stay. I could be a complete different person saying the exact same things, and you could have switched it off within 10 seconds because you're like, oh, I don't really vibe with this person. And when I put this video on YouTube, there'll be people who watch 10 seconds and are like, don't vibe with it and don't watch any more of it. Yeah? But then there'll be people who stay all the way to the end and will watch more videos and then might buy some products because we are attracted to people who are like us, who we resonate with, who even small things like we like what their hair looks like, we like how their voice sounds, all these things, we don't know it consciously, but that's why we're attracted to that person, the way they speak, if they swear or they don't swear. Like some people will never watch any of my videos again because I swear, and some people will tune in more because they're like, that's how I talk, so they resonate with me more. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's attraction marketing. I talk about how to do attraction marketing in all my courses, but that is essentially the gist. It's being authentic and being yourself and accepting that just because other people have similar products to you doesn't mean that they are your competition. The only person that's your competition is you, because people are attracted to who they're attracted to, and you just be yourself and your people will come, if that makes sense. And that applies for whether you're creating a course, whether you're running a dance class, whether you're applying for a performing job, whatever, it doesn't matter. That is just the rules of the world. It's basic human psychology, okay? And it's basic sales psychology as well. So I hope that was helpful today. I'm really going to hone in this week on ways that you can create more profitable part of your performance. So we've already talked about the getting more bookings and all that stuff. So if you've not seen that video, they're on my YouTube channel. You can scroll back and you can find those ones. We've talked about them in depth. But this week I'm going to focus on setting up classes and making them profitable, running workshops and making them profitable, running events and making them profitable, creating passive income streams or extra side hustle online businesses, because not all side hustles are passive and not all online businesses are passive either. Okay, so we'll talk about the difference and why you might choose one over the other, and hopefully by the end of this week you'll have more of an idea how you can put all those things together to start layering on extra income for the month, if that makes sense. All right, I've gone on for ages there, but that's because this is like my favourite topic. I'm so passionate about it. Basically, because I have fucked up so many times with money that now that I've figured this stuff out and I've changed my mindset, I want you guys to all do it as well, because it's a game changer. Once you stop thinking about that money's bad and that you don't need it and that you get to do what you love, so the money doesn't really matter, it's going to change your whole life, how you see everything, and it's going to make everything so much easier. All right, thanks for staying for so long. That was a long one, but I appreciate you all, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.